With the Thursday night net.
geared towards amateur radio enthusiasts. This net provides an excellent opportunity for individuals to learn about the latest developments in amateur radio technology, share knowledge and experience, and network with other amateur radio operators. Attendees can expect to see demonstrations of various types of equipment and attend presentations and workshops on a variety of topics. This event is great for anyone who is interested in amateur radio, whether you're a seasoned operator or just getting started. Attending the GARS Tech Fest is an excellent way to learn about the hobby, make new contacts, and discover new ways to use amateur radio. And once again, this will be February 1st. This weekend, it is open to the public from 8:30 a.m. until 3:15 p.m. Ham exams are 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. So if you're looking to get your ham license, you can take a test there as well. Final prize drawing is at 3:15 p.m. Let me break. The 43rd annual Dalton Ham Fest is coming on February 22nd. This will be from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. There is a $5 entry. This is at the North Georgia AG Fairgrounds, 500 Legion Drive, Dalton, Georgia, and that's 30721. And these are our announcements. If you have any questions, comments, or news to share, please send an email to justin@NGGMRS.org. We are the North Georgia GMRS Network. This is Rogers, WSAL 368, Atlanta 263. And Justin, back to you.
Fantastic. All right. Well, lots of good stuff. Let's break real quick right here. And, so pop quiz. How much does it cost to get into GARS, the Tech Fest?
Is it free or is it $5?
I believe that one's free. How much does it cost to get into the Dalton Ham Fest?
Dalton is $5.
That's $5.
Okay,
all right. So, Studio G. Do you remember Studio G? Were you around for Studio G?
Was that doing Jeep Fest?
No, Studio G's never been to Jeep Fest.
Okay. No.
Prior to Vanguard, Studio G was kind of our test bed, I guess, of sorts. You know, back in the days of the original Studio B, we had accumulated a hodgepodge of equipment. Mostly it was wires that ran across the room, back and forth, and here and there. But there were also various boxes that did things. And we kind of built all of that into a mobile flight case. And so Studio G has everything that Studio B had, including a couple of radios and a mixing console and a couple of nodes, the audio cards for that, the impedance matching devices that we use. So Studio G was a test bed of how we can deploy a studio radio station in any location. And kind of as an experiment, we took it to various places and operated the net from it. Let me break. One of those places was the mechanic garage that Jeff worked at the time. We set up in a conference room, and we were able to host the net from there, just to prove that it would work, really literally from anywhere. And that kind of proved that. We kind of hoped that we would be invited to set that up and operate from various places, and we did operate from a couple of places, but it never really panned out with the mobility that we wanted. So mostly we operated from the living room here at the house, right up there next to the fireplace, and just we would bring in folding tables and rolly chairs, and we would do the net from right there. And that was great, but it kind of limited the amount of time it takes to set things up, limits how many other things you can set up and do. Just like in here, there's a lot of things to set up. Even though it's ready to go from week to week, it still takes time to get all of the web pages that we need, all of the various applications and services. I mean, just the ATEM switcher with the Stream Decks and the Super Source that comes off of the iPad. There's just a number of steps that it takes to get ready to to do the net. And even though we came in early and had everything ready to go, there's some things that have to happen kind of on the fly. And
yeah, and that's how computers and technology works. You think you have everything plugged in just right, and you hit the button, and it doesn't come on.
it just
and
flashes
it's like,
and
now
says,
what?
"Not yet." So I don't know. I'm not sure where we went wrong, but we definitely went wrong. And but we'll figure it out, and we'll get better at it. We'll actually start the program with audio maybe next time. We'll see. No promises, but Studio G was our platform to learn how to do a lot of what we do, and so that continues in Vanguard. But Studio G is available for deployment right now, whereas Vanguard, it's going to be a lot of work to break it down, pack it up so it's ready to roll, because this thing can't go anywhere set up the way it is right now. These cameras would fall over and break. The expensive video gear would bounce around, and
a lot of moving pieces here.
Yeah, that iPad would be gone. It would just be a mess. So all the stuff has to be secured and packed up and then set back up again. So until we get to a better place where we can set up for video, Vanguard's going to be limited in its deployments. But we'd love to have you come out and check out Studio G. It's a wonderful piece of technology. It was a lot of fun to put together and use, and we learned a lot of things along the way, and we'd love to share all of that with you. So come on out to GARS, the Tech Fest. It's at the same place the Stone Mountain Ham Fest was at. And how much does it cost to get in?
GARS is free.
He is paying attention. Okay. All right. I wasn't sure.
Either way, you're not gonna. You don't have to come out of the pocket much.
There will be food, so bring some money to buy snacks and stuff. And there won't really be commercial vendors there, so you can't go and buy, all the accessories. There won't be a boneyard, but there may be some things there, like all the ham clubs are going to be there, and they're going to have demos. They may have some fundraiser things that you can purchase. There may be. Oh, we should break. He is paying attention. All right.
Oh, yeah.
So there may be like soldering practice kits that you can buy and learn how to solder or improve your soldering skills. Highly recommended for people that are new to that sort of thing. Even when you've soldered for many years and you have it down pat, there's always the opportunity to learn new stuff, especially when it comes to techniques for soldering. If anybody tells you that they know everything there is to know about soldering, don't trust them, because there's always more.
You know what? You can always learn something.
There's always something, yeah.
Even if at the highest levels of knowledge, it's the more I know, the more I know that I don't know.
And there's also all the things that you forgot along the way.
Oh, that too.
Oh, yeah.
That too.
Like running this video gear. I used to know how to do this, but I've relied so heavily on others. Now I have to learn it all over again. But we're figuring it out, and we're having fun. Oh yeah. So, all right. So let's go ahead and take some additional check-ins. Did we cover everything we need? Oh, ham tests. They're going to take ham. You can have an opportunity to test for your ham license at the Tech Fest. So I believe there's a charge for testing. I don't know what the charge is, but I promise it will be no more than $15. So I think I saw somewhere that it's $14, but I'm not entirely sure about that. But you can test at the Tech Fest, and what's beautiful about that is, if for whatever reason you don't pass, or if you don't get, like if you test for technician and you're really hoping to get general, 3 weeks later you can go to Dalton Ham Fest and you can test again. And 3 weeks really is enough time to study. I promise you, if you can spend 15 to 20 minutes a day in 3 weeks, you can be you can have studied enough to be able to pass the test. So the real learning comes from doing. There's a lot of things in the test that are valuable and useful to know, especially when it comes to rules. That's the portion of the testing that I think is probably the most significant. You need to know the rules, and you need to be able to demonstrate some knowledge of the rules. But all of the radio theory, all of the radio electronics, all of that stuff is stuff that we really learn best by putting our hands on it and doing stuff. We can talk about radio a lot and never learn anything, but when we actually do stuff, that's when we learn what the results are. And like Atlanta 255 has done a lot of experiments with making antennas out of all kinds of things that you would never expect an antenna to perform out of. She came here once to visit in studio and pulled out of her back pocket this origami folded thing, and she says, "Check out my latest antenna." On a piece of paper. So it was some foil that was glued to the paper, and it tunes up for 462, and it did a great job. So you can make an antenna out of a lot of different things, and if you have an antenna analyzer, then you can even learn how well that antenna is going to perform for you when you deploy that. Let's break. Did you mean break, or
yes,
are you about to punch
break.
me?
No.
I wasn't sure what that fist meant.
No, break. But yeah, and that's what they call it, the radio arts. Like, really, is the limits are your imagination. Like, how can I get something to perform? And like you said, it's all about testing things out, being in the field yourself to see how your radio operates, how propagation works, how certain areas work better than others. You may go to one part of the house and hear something, and the other part is nothing. So yeah,
it really can. And one of the things that we learned on Friday nights with Dana is that from 1 week to the next week we have changes in temperature, we have changes in humidity, we have changes in the cloud cover, we have week after week it's the conditions vary, and radio performance will vary with those conditions. And so this exercise is a great opportunity to learn so much about radio propagation and the things that impact how your signal is going to perform. So if you get into a situation and radio has become a tool for emergency communications, that can be knowledge that can really make a difference in terms of being able to affect your ability to communicate. So it looks like our Columbus repeater is currently unlinked, and it's related to an internet outage for the link for the Columbus repeater. So once the internet is restored, that site will come back. That's what the ding you just heard was that information about Columbus. So all right, with that, let's go ahead and grab some more check-ins. We've got a pretty good list of check-ins at this time, but let's see, where are we with check-ins? We've got number 6, I think, is what you want, and I need to get up there, and so let's leave that alone for the moment. So we got a bunch. Let's go ahead and acknowledge these YouTube check-ins before we jump into our radio check-ins. So we've got WRYQ 727 Miko from upstate New York. We've got Atlanta 924 William in Jasper. We've got Atlanta 927 Constance in Buford. Oh, that's Connie. I'm sorry, Connie. We've got you in log. Atlanta 557 Ed in Kennesaw. Gainesville 26J in Flowery Branch. Rome 12 Mark in Rome. Dallas 21 Lisa in southwest Paulding County. We have guest check-in from WSGW 945 Ralph in Woodstock. Talk about long-distance check-in.
Wow.
Yeah, well, we're in Woodstock too, but glad to have you along tonight, Ralph. We've also got Atlanta 1150 Tony in Canton, and we have McDonough 45, the former McDonough 45, and the current McDonough 45.
Still.
So we've got past, present, and for the rest of the year, future McDonough 45. Kai in McDonough is with us tonight, and we have some information. $14 is the correct amount for ham exam at the Tech Fest. So thanks for updating that information with us. We have CW40 Robert in Nicholson as a YouTube check-in, and Atlanta 355 Damon in Canton also YouTube check-ins. Thanks a lot, YouTube folks, for hanging out with us. Thanks, Blue Ridge 63 for logging those check-ins for us. It's crazy how many balls you got to keep in the air to make this thing happen. I couldn't do it without the help of all the volunteers that make the North Georgia GMRS net the best thing going. And Atlanta 420, William in Roswell didn't hear his check-in, but we got him during the break. So we did add you into our check-ins, William. So you're in there. Understand you had to go pick up your buck from the deer processing place, and probably I would imagine right about now he's busy loading all that meat in his freezer. So congratulations on that score. Okay, let's go back to check-ins, and once again we're going to start off with Zello check-ins. And remember, when we're asking for Zello check-ins, it's kind of important that we not get any RF check-ins. Let me break. There's a whole timing thing that happens with Zello check-ins, and the RF check-ins interrupts that timing. So it's really important that we hold our RF check-ins until the Zello check-ins are done. Standing by for Zello check-ins only. We might have all of our Zello check-ins. That's possible.
I thought I just heard somebody.
Yeah, that was staticky, so that would have been RF, and it might have been. It could have been anything. I mean, sometimes these repeaters will hear their PL tone from a very distant signal, and it will activate. And there's just you just get that sometimes. So that happened to be the Zebulon repeater, and that was flagship. All right, I'm going to call it right there. Not hearing any Zello check-ins, we're going to continue with RF check-ins from any repeater other than flagship. Net control standing by for check-ins from any repeater other than flagship.
This check-in is for Atlanta 403, Bobby. This is Ronnie, Chattanooga 69, WRKJ 453, checking in and out. Thanks, guys. Love you, Bobby.
This is Gainesville 41, checking in, checking out.
This is Chat 246, WSCW 939, checking in and out.
This is Gainesville 36, WRYC 838, in and out.
All right, let me go ahead and acknowledge this round of check-ins. First, from YouTube, we have Chattanooga 181 Joseph in Cleveland. And also we have Blue Ridge 64 Side Salad also in Blue Ridge. Thanks for listening in tonight, Melissa. Glad to have you along. We have for Bobby. I don't know the context of this, so but anyway, for Bobby, we have Chattanooga 6'9". The Velvet Elvis from Las Vegas is in and out. Also, we heard Gainesville 41, Chris in Gainesville, in and out. Chattanooga 246, Luke, sorry about that, Luke, in Delano, is in and out. And there was it Gainesville 36, I think? Yeah. Robert, we got you checked in earlier in the first round of check-ins. We heard you come back again, but we've already got you, so we got you in there earlier. Those are the check-ins we have. We'll take one more round of check-ins from any repeater anywhere, including the flagship machine. Net control standing by.
This is WRWM 256, Atlanta 256, Chuck in Dawsonville, checking in and out. Have a great night. Net tonight, guys.
This is WRDS 814, Tacoma 33, Matthew here in northern Pickens County, South Carolina. Just a repeat because I didn't hear you call it back the last time. I'm not sure if I'm getting in there tonight. Thanks, guys. Checking in and out.
This is SGT 638, Lima 748, checking in and out.
638.
This is WRXM 922, Gainesville 58, Jonathan from beautiful downtown Oakwood, checking in, checking out.
This is WSGS 2, Sandy Smith, Cleveland, Georgia. Beautiful. First net tonight. Appreciate y'all having me. Big shout out to Gainesville 58. This is WGSC at 638, Atlanta 748, calling Cleveland. You copy, over?
Atlanta 748. This is Atlanta 946 WQIR 514 net controller for tonight's net. It's kind of improper to call out to other users during the course of a net. So we've got you logged in the log. Please hold your traffic until the end of the net. Atlanta 748. No further traffic until the end of the net. Thank you. Let's continue with check-ins from any repeater anywhere. Net control standing by.
Hi.
All right, let me go ahead and acknowledge this last round of check-ins. We've got Atlanta 256.1, Atlanta 256.1. Holly is checking in, and by way of relay, Atlanta 256. Chuck, both are in and out. We have Toccoa 33 Matthew from Pickens. Matthew, I'm glad you came back to us because we did not hear your prior check-in. So, and Robert, same thing. You came back twice. That's okay, because if you don't hear us call you out, it's because we didn't likely hear you check in the first time. And there's a number of reasons why that could be. It could be a double, that someone checked in on top of you and we just didn't hear yours. Sometimes we, like this evening, there were a couple of calls. We were able to actually hear it come in from the radio in the barn, but it did not play on our speakers here in Vanguard. So every now and then there's a call that just doesn't get picked up by the node manager. So that happens, and that could be why we missed your check-in. So if we don't call your name, it's not because we're trying to leave anybody out. We want everybody that wants to be a part of this net to be in here, including 748. We're glad that he's a part of this. But if we don't hear you, that's why we didn't call you. So thanks, Matthew, for coming back with that. Also from YouTube, we've got Atlanta 1126 Joseph in Snellville, and Dallas 592 Michael in Dallas. From the radio, we've got Gainesville 58 Mr. Simplex calling in from Oakwood. And we have a guest check-in. We'd missed the call sign completely, just covered up in noise. But I believe the name was Sandy, and the location was Cleveland, Georgia. That's really all we heard out of that. And the next call was way, way down in the way low audio. But we think we heard Atlanta 210 Stephen in Roswell. I think that's what it was. If that's incorrect, please let us know. And we also, from YouTube, we have CW44 Diane in Comer. So those are the check-ins we have at this time. At this time, I think we're going to kick things into gear. We'll take one more round of check-ins before we close the net. So if you didn't get a chance to check in, be sure and stick around, come back, and we'll get you checked in just before we wrap things up. But we'll kick things off at this point, and we'll go right here to, we have, let's see, WRML 380, guest check-in. That would be Michael. Michael, did you have any comments for the network? It's kind of an open floor tonight, so anything you'd like to discuss or any questions you might have, if you have any questions about the network or any of our repeaters or whatever you might have, or just anything in general you want to talk about, floor is open. WRML 380, Michael.
Checking in. A little bit bothered by the animosity, I think is the right word that appears present. We're in the South here, and we should be all friendly.
Who was that?
I'm not sure.
Okay. All right. WRML 380, Michael. Do you have any comments for the net tonight? We'll have an opportunity for comments when we get close to the end of the net. It's a big net. It'll take all night if we don't follow the protocol here. So no answer from WRML 380. Michael, we're going to go ahead and show him as in and out and continue on. Next we have Gainesville 44 Joe. Joe was talking about earlier this evening an interesting menu item there at the Vortex. Joe, you want to come back and tell us a little bit about what you had for dinner tonight?
Gainesville 44, WRQV 762. Good evening, Net. Yes, I can. We usually have a couple of people in to our home here on Thursday night, Net, and we have gotten named the Vortex because once you step in, the time just flies by, and you never know that much time's gone by. But all in all, we have a different menu. Once in a while, we kick up tonight was Reuben egg rolls with dirty rice. The Reuben egg roll has your typical corned beef, pastrami, Swiss, and sauerkraut rolled up inside an egg roll and generally fried 2.5 to 3 minutes till nice and golden brown. And the dirty rice is made with ground beef, kielbasa, a little bit of spicy sausage, vegetables, and rice.
Are you serious?
Well, that's fantastic, Joe. I heard you talking about that earlier in the evening, but I was multitasking. I wasn't really able to listen very closely, but I thought that sounded fascinating. So it's basically a fried Reuben. That is very interesting. And then the dirty rice also sounds pretty tasty too, with the kielbasa and the ground beef. Yeah, I can see why it would be called the Vortex.
Sounds like a nice mix of things.
You know, and Bobby's always making mention of the menu over there, and it always sounds like a very tasty thing. So, yeah, I think you could probably open a restaurant if you put your mind to it. But very good stuff. All right, thank you, Joe. Appreciate the menu conversation tonight. And with that, we'll move on. Next, we have WRWJ697 guest check-in from, I believe it was from Ed in Blue Ridge. Ed, did you have any comments for the net tonight? All right, we're going to go ahead and show Ed as in and out and continue right along. Next, we have Atlanta 148, Chris, incoming, first-time check-in. Chris, did you have any comments or questions for the net tonight? All right, no comments from Atlanta 148. We'll go ahead and show him also as in and out and move on to Atlanta 403. And you got a happy tummy there, Bobby?
Oh, man, I'm telling you. That's one of their top 10 ones here was tonight with the Reuben egg rolls. Oh, my God, they were so good. I had 3. I'm so stuffed I can hardly move off of this couch here. And, there's always something new here at the Vortex. I'm telling you, it's great. Yeah. Yeah, the food here is always top-notch, and top-notch people to hang out with, too. A lot of laughs over here. It's a good time at the Vortex, and like Joe said, it kind of just sucks you in. So that's how we came up with the name. But, yeah, you know, there's always something good on the menu over here, and, you know, we're trying to get Dana over here one night. Chuck's been here, and he knows what we're talking about. So, yeah, you know, it's a good time.
Well, very good stuff, and kind of cool that you can have a sort of a watch party and hang out and enjoy the net with some friends and some good food and conversation, and that you know that's what the net's all about. So glad to accommodate that, and glad that you were able to enjoy that meal. So good stuff. With that, Bobby, did you have any other questions or comments?
I just want to wave a hand back at Ronnie. That whole thing was kind of an inside joke because last week I texted him and said, the heck with checking in on YouTube, get yourself back on a radio. And he kind of liked that, so that's why he hopped back in there on the radio this week. So there was something else, but I forgot what I was going to tell you. But I don't know anyway. But that's the way it goes. So, yeah, I'll see you Saturday at the Tech Fest down there in Lawrenceville.
All right. Well, for $14, you could probably become a double general, double extra. I know how much you like taking tests over again, so something to consider. But you're kind of at that point now where you can't really advance any further. But you could be a double extra, I suppose. But anyway, glad to have you along tonight, and thanks for hanging out with us. Next, we have Atlanta 849 Pamela in Duluth. Pamela, floor is open for any topic that you have in your mind, or any questions about the network, or anything else that I might be able to help you out with.
Okay, well, guys, you asked for it. I want to say thank you for Rogers stepping in and doing all those announcements. And, yeah, I did remember to put my new email on there for the Peachtree Corners brunch, and that is skygazerpamela849@gmail.com. But going on, let me break. I just wanted to, I know we got so many new people, and I think it's great, but I wanted to put a reminder out there to please slow down and say your numbers and letters properly so that those of us can hear you and call back into your right tax sign. And I take notes, and so I keep up with all this during the net. So your name, where you're at, and your tax sign would be great so we can all understand it. We break.
I'm sorry, we've been doing this for a while.
Okay. Anyway, I wanted to say we had a great time at the luncheon up in Dahlonega at Roosters yesterday. It was me and about 16 other male members of the group, and it was a great time. Glad everybody could make it, and I'll get some pictures on Facebook here eventually, and we'll probably have something at the end, so I'll send it back to the net. Thanks.
Well, you're right, Pamela. There are a lot of new folks here, and we see phenomenal growth here. Not only in North Georgia GMRS, but in GMRS in general. We're seeing more new licenses in GMRS across the U.S. than we are seeing new licenses in amateur radio. So the GMRS user base is exploding. It's the growth is just enormous. So there's new people out here all the time, and so a lot of people that are new will listen in for a little while and kind of get a feel for how things roll and learn the protocols and the methods that we use to conduct a net, and then we get some new folks that come along that just jump right in with a lot of enthusiasm and might make some mistakes along the way, and that's okay, because Lord knows I've made plenty of mistakes on the air. I've stepped on conversations. I've keyed up with my volume turned all the way down. If there's a way that you can operate a radio improperly in GMRS or an amateur radio, I've probably done it. I've used the wrong call sign in both bands, in both places, and it happens, and it's not the end of the world, and it doesn't have to make anybody upset. And at the same time, if what you're hearing on the air isn't something that's your cup of tea, you don't have to be here. It won't hurt my feelings if you go do something else. So, the airwaves, there's lots of them. There's lots of places that you can play radio. And if this isn't what you want to be a part of, then you can go do something else. But if you want to be a part of what we do here, we'd like to have you along. And we hope that you can find your place and find a way to fit in. With that in mind, with the growth that we've had, there's a lot of things that new users probably would benefit from learning. One of those things, one of the big things that we try to teach here on North Georgia GMRS, and it's something that is tough for a lot of us, is as Pamela mentioned, slow down. Just we're not paying by the minute for airtime. Your cellular bill doesn't go up because of how much time you hold down the key. Mine would be a fortune if that were the case. You're not supposed to laugh at that.
I'm smiling.
But it would slow down a little bit. And the other thing that, with a large linked repeater network such as North Georgia GMRS, there is a little bit of delay that happens. So when you key that microphone, all of the links have to connect. And that doesn't take a long time, but it's not instant. And so if you key the mic and begin speaking immediately, as most people would if it were not a linked repeater, by the time the links happen, the first syllable or two of what you've said will be cut off for anybody that's not on your local repeater. And so it's important to get into the habit of slowing down, key the mic, and pause just briefly so that all the repeaters have a chance to build their link, and then begin with your transmission, and that will make things go much more smoothly. The other thing we'd like to remind people of is to slow down in between transmissions. So when someone lets off the key, we'd like to build a little bit of time in there, and you've heard plenty of opportunities this evening where the time in between transmissions have been filled with silly chatter and folks that are stepping out of order. Maybe it's because they don't know or they're impatient or what have you. It's okay. It's not the end of the world, but we do want to rein things in and get the net back under control. That's what the job of a net control operator is to bring order to the net process and make sure things are conducted smoothly. So that's what we're doing tonight, and these are some of the things that we want to remind people. It's important to leave a break between transmissions for a couple of reasons. If you're engaged in a long conversation, as I often am, and somebody has an important call that they need to make, and it's time sensitive, if you're expecting something to happen at a particular time and you need to remind somebody or touch base with somebody at that time, and a conversation's going on for tens of minutes, if they can break long enough for you to comment your way into that conversation, you can pass along your message and still allow for these long conversations to happen. So that's why we want to be sure to remind people to leave some time in between transmissions to allow for other users to break in if they have an urgent message, or maybe they just want to contribute to the conversation that you're having. So that's an important thing to remember as well. So Pamela brings a couple of important reminders all rolled up into just slow down a little bit. And when we speak slowly, giving our call signs for check-in, it means that we don't have to go back and listen to the tapes and try to pull it out of the noise. It means that we can do a better job of getting everyone checked in. And with a big roster like we have tonight, that slowing things down a little bit actually makes the whole check-in process considerably faster. So good tip, Pamela. Thank you for that. And with that, let's continue on to Atlanta 250 Dana, high atop Mount Olympus.
Well, first I'll start with good evening to you, Justin, and hello, Rogers there, and, well, Mike, you always do a great job, so hello to you, too. Anyway, what I wanted to talk about, and Pamela sort of touched on it just a very little bit, is our regional lunches. Let me break. We had a fantastic regional lunch yesterday. Lasted several hours, and just everybody really enjoyed themselves. Let me break. My apologies for the hoarse throat here, but just wanted to tell folks out there that if you have a chance to go to one of the beaches, and we have many that are near you, definitely go. You will not regret it. It's a great time to spend with both, but faces with voices, and just to have a really good, genuine time. Let me break. And it strengthens the network. You know, when we all get to know each other, you know, generally it's pretty easy to weed the non-wants out. And that being said, I'll turn it back over to Net Control, and you guys are doing a great job.
Thank you, Dana. And you know that is a wonderful resource that North Georgia GMRS has, and that is all the regional gatherings that do occur. And I would absolutely encourage anyone that if the gatherings that happen are within reach of you, you should definitely try to go to one or as many as you're able to, as many as you have time for. Some of these luncheons are happening, you know, on a Wednesday during lunchtime. Well, you know, for a working stiff like me, that's just not going to happen. Some of the luncheons happen occasionally at times when I can be there. Like, for instance, the Rabbit Hole lunch is usually on a weekend. And I'm pretty busy on weekends, but I've been able to attend a couple of luncheons throughout the region. I've been to the one in Dahlonega. I've been to the one in Chattanooga. I've been to the one that the Rabbit Hole has. And I've also been to a couple that have been right here, you know, the one-offs. We had a one-off at a barbecue joint that Houston put on for us many years ago. I believe that was Wallace Brothers Barbecue over in Austell. Great barbecue place. Would love to do it again sometime, Houston. Hint, hint. We had a couple of gatherings right here in the Woodstock area. We had one at a place called Family Traditions, and we had another one at a place called Game Day. Both of those were well attended, but they were a long time ago. But those aren't regular. The regular gatherings that we have in Dahlonega and Peachtree Corners and over in Kennesaw and the one in Marietta and one up in Chattanooga. And, you know, if you can't get to, there's also one down in Stockbridge. It's a breakfast once a month, I believe. If you can get to any of those, please do, because it's a great group of people. And these are all radio enthusiasts, but these are also people that have varied life experiences. And we can all benefit from their knowledge and their history and their wisdom and experience. And we can all benefit from just the friendship and the camaraderie that we gain from these opportunities for fellowship. And food. I mean, nothing brings radio people together like tasty food. It happens to be tiki burgers on Thursday nights around here, but you know, there's a cost for those tiki burgers, and that is you gotta produce a net.
Okay, there you go.
But you know, it's there's also an element of fellowship, even while we're working. We're learning stuff together, and overall, I think it's a great time, and that's a big part of what we build here at North Georgia GMRS, our relationships. And let's break for a moment.
And also, the luncheons are a great way to put a face with the voice that
That's
you
right.
hear. So, you know, you may be talking, you know, if it's Friday night at 9 Simplex, or maybe just talking on, you know, just regular during the week, and you hear all these voices. For me, last year it was the cookouts, and just seeing all those faces, and I'm like, okay, this is who this is, or this is who that. So it's good to just put a face with the voice as well. So it's a great thing.
Yeah, and you know, it was years ago, but we had a gathering at a park. We've done a couple of parks through the years. And we had a gathering at a park up at the far north end of Lake Allatoona, and that was the first time I met Chat 69. So, you know, there's just a wide opportunity. And here's the other thing is, if there's not a gathering that is convenient for you to go to, then gather up some people that are local to you and make your own. And that's what Pamela and Ernest are doing. They've enjoyed many of the luncheons. They've traveled to several of them, and they've enjoyed them so much they thought, hey, I'd like to do something right here close to us and do it on a time that works for us. And so I don't know. I think theirs is at noon.
Is at noon. That's the one that I attend.
Okay.
And that was actually my first luncheon.
Okay.
Was the one that Pamela 849 set up.
Yeah. So and that's the other thing is I think that Pamela and Ernest would prefer something a little bit later in the day than the 11 o'clock luncheons that most places are having. So they set theirs at noon. I'm surprised they didn't set it for 1 p.m. or something that. And there's no reason you couldn't do a dinner time gathering as well, other than the restaurants are more busy and it might be harder to get a large table. But
well, I think according to the restaurant JRS Log House, with it being at noon, you get breakfast, but also the brunch menu as well.
Oh,
so it's kind of a sweet spot where you kind of get both menus.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of the breakfast menu personally, and I can eat breakfast things at lunchtime very easily. I have no problem sitting down to a plate of potatoes and eggs at lunchtime. But in any case, if the offerings that are out there don't suit you, there's no reason you can't just make your own. And we would encourage folks to do that. If you can gather a couple of friends together, be inclusive. It doesn't have to be North Georgia GMRS people only. You can include your friends and neighbors. It can be radio people and non-radio people, and while you're at these restaurants and you're talking about the network and what we do as an outreach of North Georgia GMRS, don't forget to represent the organization well, tip the servers well, and don't leave the place a mess, and be mindful of other customers that might be waiting for tables, things like that. But just be a good steward of your own person, and be a good representation of the network as well. And I think for the most part that is what happens out there. So good stuff, and glad that the membership is able to put those things together, because there's no way I could. I've done it in the past, and it's a lot of effort to organize, and there's an anxiety because how many of us actually when you went to Ernest and Pamela's thing, did you let Pamela know you were coming?
I did. So I let her know I was on the way. And
so you're the one.
Well, she actually had envelopes and gifts for everybody who came, so it was really good. Like,
I guess that's
it was around
good
Christmas time, and we got gifts, and Pamela was really good with that. It was nice.
Maybe that's the motivation to get people to RSVP, but a lot of times people just don't, and so that can be a challenge. And I know that in the couple of events that I've organized, we know of this number of people that are coming, but what about the ones that just show up and are not going to let us know ahead of time? And so do we ask for extra seats at the table? And we did. We went about 25% over what we expected, and we ended up filling all the seats, and then had to go get more chairs, but and squeeze in uncomfortably tight space. But nonetheless, it was always good. The same thing happened at Wallace Brothers with Houston's thing. We had a certain number of people we were expecting. Houston had asked for that number plus a certain number of empties, anticipating a few empty chairs won't hurt. Well, we ended up dragging chairs from other tables, and we made it work, and it was good. But that's the challenge: is what if the other tables are all occupied? So we want to try to get everybody included. So good stuff. Well, thanks, Dana, and that was a great point to raise. So I'm glad you did that. Next on the roster, we have another guest to check in from Cleveland, Georgia. We have Sandy, WSGS542. Sandy, did you have any comments for the net?
For the invite, look forward to it.
I missed part of that, Sandy. We're covered up with noise But I think you said that you were looking forward to it. So I don't know if that's the Tech Fest or if that's Dalton, but or one of these lunch gatherings that we're talking about. That's one thing about radio is anytime you get a bunch of radio folks together, there seems like there's always going to be a meal. That's how I was able to get the leadership group together to finally come together and have the year-end meeting that we should have had in December, but we had it last weekend right here because Julie was cooking, and it was good stuff. So that's how you get radio people together. Sandy, let's try that one more time. I don't want to leave anybody out.
This is WSGS 542 in Cleveland, Georgia, in the Logan Turnpike, trying to get a little better transmission site tonight or whatever. Thanks for having me. Looking forward to getting active with this group.
Much better transmission that time from the Turnpike. So glad to have you along, and we look forward to getting to know you as well. So definitely check out some of those luncheons. We make announcements for those every week on this net, and there's plenty of opportunity to call out on the radio during the week to find out when the next one's going to be. So if you hear somebody out there talking, just go ahead and call out to them when they finish their conversation, and I'm sure you can get some more information. Glad to have you along, Sandy, and yeah, lots of new people all the time, and it's good to have the new folks coming around, and it builds out and grows the network, and it's another opportunity to build a new relationship, and that's really what has brought us all together to begin with is relationships. So good stuff. Thanks for that. And with that, we'll continue on. We have next Atlanta 210, Stephen in Roswell. We believe that was what we heard. It was really low audio and a marginal signal. But Stephen, was that you? All right, we're going to go ahead and show Stephen as in and out. Stephen was one of my accountability partners when we gathered to study for our amateur extra, and that was a successful gathering. There were 6 of us that gathered once a week for 6 weeks prior to taking our test for the amateur extra. And what a great thing. What a great way to study, because having a group of people that you can study with, it builds accountability. So, if you don't do your homework during the week and you show up at the next meeting, there's an expectation that you are going to contribute to the knowledge that we all have. And so when we review that study material, if you don't carry your weight, you know, it's pretty obvious. So it becomes a motivation for you to spend the time, even if you're cramming just before the meeting. Spend the time and be engaged in the study process, and especially for the extra. The technician and the general are they're not really all that hard to get on your own, but the extra is extra for a reason, and the study for the extra does take a concentrated effort. 6 weeks was the right amount of time for us. We broke the study guide up into 6 sections, and we covered a portion of it each week. Different people came to the table with some great ideas as to how to remember certain parts of the test. We used the Craig Buck study guide. Craig Buck has written a study guide based on just learning the correct answers. So most of the study guides that are out there will present you with all 4 of the potential answers for every question. Craig's process is a little bit different in that it really only presents you with the correct answer. You learn the question and the correct answer. The question and the correct answer. Instead of filling your mind with the noise of all the incorrect answers, if you can learn the correct answer or if you can learn little mnemonics or cues or tricks to match the correct answer with the question. And there's a million different ways to do that, and a lot of them are really good. Not everything works for everybody, but that's the beauty of having a group of people that are studying together, is you can get a myriad of ideas, and that, I think, was a big help for me in getting the extra down. So it's been a few years. I doubt if I could pass the extra if I sat down to take it today.
But once you have it, you have it.
That's right. I don't have to.
So good to go.
But definitely recommend that if you're interested in studying for your amateur exam. You can take the test on Saturday at the Tech Fest, the GARS Tech Fest in Gwinnett County. Same place that we held the Stone Mountain Ham Fest, except there won't be a boneyard, no activities outdoors. This is all in the main exhibition hall. Come see us. We'll be there with Studio G, and we'd love to be able to, as you'd mentioned, put a face with a voice that we hear on the air. Come on out and meet us. We'd love to meet you, and we'll show you a little bit about Studio G, and all the technology that's built into Studio G is the foundation of what Vanguard is, plus video. So Studio G doesn't include any of the video equipment, but it is, in terms of radio, it's a fascinating piece of gear. So love to see you there at the Tech Fest. We'll also be bringing Studio G to the Dalton Ham Fest. So let me break. If you are going to come out to the Tech Fest and take your exam there, we encourage you to do that. It's going to be a $14 fee to take that test. And the beauty of that is that if for whatever reason you don't achieve the level that you're hoping to achieve, it's only $15 to take it again 3 weeks later at the Dalton Ham Fest. So, and geographically, if Dalton makes more sense for you, then we look forward to seeing you at the Dalton Ham Fest. We'll be set up in the boneyard at Dalton, and hopefully we have good weather.
Yeah, and I actually have a question that maybe some new people to GMRS may have. They hear us talking about ham and amateur license and everything like that. And, why should someone go take that next step to get an amateur license?
Well, that's a great conversation. There's so many reasons. So let me back up just a little bit, and I'll mention this, that, for Julie and I, GMRS is where we started. And when we started in GMRS, we thought, this is great. This is enough. This is, there were challenges. We had to learn some things about propagation, setting up a base radio. The first radio that we had was a radio that was mounted on top of a power supply. And it was actually Atlanta 60 had given that radio to us because we were doing net control with an HT, and he didn't like, if you're on an HT and you turn your head, it's in and out, and just, it's crazy. So he didn't want his net control operators to sound like that. He wanted his net control operators to have a quality sounding radio. So he let us use this really nice Kenwood radio with a very simple mag mount antenna that was mounted on top of a wooden bookcase at a 45-degree angle.
Wow.
But it worked. At that time, we were reaching out to Sassafras and to Pine Log, and those two repeaters were well within the limits of what we were able to do out of that bedroom with that antenna. But we really wanted to improve along the way, and so we upgraded to a better antenna that was outdoors, and because just concerned about 25-watt radio and an antenna 3 feet from your head. Is that really, how much RF energy is that? Does that fry your brain? I mean, maybe it did. Who knows? But so along the way, we went through all the steps that you go through. We mounted an antenna outside. It was pretty okay, but we could get walked on pretty easily, and so we did things to improve our propagation to the repeater. And then we lost our site there at Pine Log. The site changed ownership, and we had to move off of that, and we had a similar thing happen at Sassafras, and that's how we came to acquire Flagship, which was wow, what a cool thing that ended up being. But Flagship presented some challenges for some folks. Like, for instance, Bobby 403. He used to hit sassafras just fine from his place there in White County, but when we moved 100 yards, Flagship and sassafras are not very far apart.
Okay.
And Flagship's 100 feet higher than sassafras is.
Wow.
But Bobby could hit sassafras just fine, but he can't hit Flagship from his house.
Well, that's the beauty or that's the frustration that comes with the RF.
Right.
And,
Yeah.
you know, one little minor mistake, not mistake, but one minor change you think could be for the better could actually be for the worse. You
Well,
just never
it
know.
was for the better for the majority, and it was for the worse for Bobby.
Yeah.
I think Bobby is the only one that had a negative impact from that. But he uses ICOM radios anyway, so that could be part of the problem. I'm not entirely sure. Yeah. But that is the end of our roster for tonight. So at this time, we're going to take additional check-ins. And for anybody that has questions or comments would like to get in, if you've already checked in and you were in and out, this is your chance to come back in with a comment. And if you have not yet checked in and you'd like to, this is your opportunity to do that. So I'm going to go ahead and get out of the way, and we'll take additional check-ins. This will be our last round of check-ins. So if you do want to get in, be sure you get in now. Any questions or comments? The floor is open. Net control standing by.
Atlanta 849 with a comment.
Okay.
Atlanta 420 WRFS 771 with comment.
Let's crack that door open. Yeah. Stuffy in here. All right, no additional check-ins. We have comments from Atlanta 849 and Atlanta 420. So let's go first to Atlanta 849. Pamela, go ahead with your comment.
Okay, gentlemen, a great net. Open floor, that was great. What I was going to say is you're talking about the Tech Fest. I believe there's a free lunch of it was hot dog, hamburgers, chips, sodas, and some other things. But I think they had a chili cook-off last year, and I haven't heard anything about that, so I don't know if that's going on. Also, let me break. And at JR's Log House, there's plenty of space there. We usually don't have a problem with the space, but it's still good to know so that I can have everything set up and have enough of things for everybody's surprises and goodies. And I appreciate everybody who can let me know. It's great. Break. And I'm curious, where is Logan Turnpike? I believe you said that y'all sat down and learned about the expert test and studied. I think that was great. So anyway, also people can come up late till 1 o'clock as far as getting something to eat at JR's, because we never leave there till 2:30 sometimes. So if you can't get there at noon, that's no problem. Get there when you can. The food will still be there. All right, back to you guys.
All right, Pamela, I'm looking at the GARS Tech Fest webpage. Let's see if we can get that up here. Yeah, let me do this, and then let me do that, and then so I'm looking at the Tech Fest webpage, and there is a chili cook-off, and they have a section on their webpage for free stuff, but they didn't list lunch. So I know that they have lunches provided for vendors and exhibitors, but I don't know that it's free for everyone. But I could be mistaken about that. But we do have, you can go to the website. I just Googled GARS Tech Fest and was able to pull it up. So it's not hard to find their webpage, and you can get more information about the event there. But yes, there is a chili cook-off. I did learn they have a tab for the chili cook-off on their webpage, and I want to go to it. I clicked on it. Huh. All right. There it is. So you can go there and get more information. The event is free to attend. I don't know if there is going to be vendors for lunch. Usually there are vendors for other events. I don't know if there's going to be for this one or not. Bring a few bucks. You might need to buy some lunch. It's definitely worth hanging around, and lots of things to learn. The other question, and I guess that was your question, I never really answered it. Why get into amateur radio? GMRS is a great place to start, but it's just the beginning. There's only so much that you can do in GMRS. All right, you can talk on a radio, you can talk on repeaters, but if you want to get into DMR, that's not available on GMRS. If you want to get into long-distance communications, that's something for HF radio. You're going to need a general license for that. If you want to get into balloon launches and other, esoteric applications of radio, you're going to need a technician license for that. If you want to get into satellite communications, did you know you can make ham radio contacts over satellite? Did you know that?
I didn't know that. I've heard people bouncing their signal to the ISS and getting in contact with astronauts.
Well, you rarely will reach the astronauts, but you can. There's a repeater on the space station, and there's a website that will show you when the space station is going to pass overhead, and so it orbits the Earth continuously. And same thing with the satellites. There are websites that show you when these satellite passes are going to happen. Whether it's the space station or the satellites, the timing is very similar. These things are in low Earth orbit, which means they're booking across the sky. They are really, really cooking. So you have a window of opportunity to make your contact, and it's between 6 and 10 minutes.
Okay.
So if you know when that satellite is going to pass, you watch your clock, and a few minutes before it's going to make its pass, you start making call-outs. And you're going to call out on one frequency while you're listening on another. All that information is available on the websites. All right? So you can, and it works out really well with a dual-band radio. If you've got a dual-band HD, we were talking about that earlier, this is one thing you can do with that radio if you buy it. You set your UHF frequency, you set your VHF frequency, you're going to transmit on one, you're going to listen on the other. So when you know that satellite is approaching, you can call out to it, and then you listen for someone to answer with your call sign. If you hear your call sign, then you listen to what their call sign is, and you repeat that. That's a contact, and that's the challenge of satellite communications. You want to be able to make those contacts. You want to try to make as many of them as you can.
So that's basically like a floating repeater, pretty much, like in the sky.
Yeah. It's a repeater that's it's not really floating. It's orbiting.
Okay. Yeah.
And it's so it's moving along at 17,600 miles, whatever that is. It's faster than a speeding bullet. It's a Superman kind of a deal. So that thing is up there and it's in orbit. It's moving fast enough. Really, the reality of what orbit truly is that it's moving fast enough that it's falling continuously, but it never really gets any closer to the Earth. So, if you fall straight down, that's one thing. But if you're falling at a high speed horizontal to the Earth, you can fall fast enough that you never land, and that's kind of what the orbit is. So. That's cool stuff. There's a million things you can do in amateur radio, and there's so many things that you can do that you can. Let me break. There's so many things that you can do to tie radio into other hobbies or interests that you might have. If you like to go backpacking, if you're an adventurer, if you spend time out on the water, if you like to fly airplanes, if you are into road racing, or if you're into off-roading. I mean, whatever it is that you do as your hobby, radio can be, and in a lot of cases is, a part of that. We've done some balloon launches with North Georgia GMRS. It's been years ago. I'd love to do that again. There's so many things that you can do. So there's a lot of reasons to move from your GMRS license to eventually to an amateur license. So I always encourage folks to do that. But let's talk about a minute the other way around. If you're a ham, why would you have any interest in GMRS? Can you think of any reasons?
Probably with GMRS is more local. So, you know, instead of talking to people thousands of miles away, you're talking to your buddies or talking to people just like how we have here the North Georgia GMRS Network. You're talking to people that you can meet up for lunch at and put a face with the voice.
And
so it makes it more human to me.
And build relationships.
Yeah.
You build, too. You know, I've got some lifelong friends that I've met, people that I know that I'm going to be friends with for a very long time. So, you know, Jeff, Karen, and I, you know, have a pretty solid friendship, and that continues. So, I think that I think that that's one of the advantages that we have. Here's the other big advantage: if you're an amateur radio license holder and you want to get your family involved, if you want to get your family involved in radio and you're a ham, you got to get your wife to take a test.
Yeah, which sometimes may or may not happen.
A lot of times that's not going to happen. Yeah. So amateur radio can be challenging in that light. If you want to get your children, if you want to get your grandkids involved, if you want to get your nieces and nephews, your brother, that's really challenging to do. But in GMRS, one license covers all of those family members. It covers step family. It covers aunts and uncles and nieces and nephews. It covers parents and grandparents. It covers step family members. So and they don't have to be in the same roof. So if you have a GMRS license and you want to be able to talk to your folks that live on the other side of the county, if their house is in repeater coverage range and your house is in repeater coverage range, or if they're within simplex range of you, GMRS is the answer. You have a licensed radio spectrum that you can use to communicate with family members that maybe won't or can't pass an amateur radio test. I think that's huge, and I think that's one of the big benefits that GMRS has. It's one that I wish that we exercised a little bit better than we do. So many times we hear spouses get checked in by way of relay. You know, like Pamela checked in Ernest. Ernest used to come on the air and talk with us, but and I know that he would if we asked him to. But so many times we have spouses that we've heard by way of relay, but we never hear them on the air. It doesn't mean they don't use the radio, because they could be talking simplex across the backyard when they're trying to back up the truck to hook up to the trailer. You know, these are the kind of things that radio can be really handy for. Simplex when you're out hiking on the trails or when you're at the park. Simplex with the kids when they're riding their bicycles around the neighborhood. We can do all of these things without having to be on the network. So it's not fair to say that these people are never on the air, but we don't hear them on the network. And I wish that we would, as GMRS users, bring our family and our kids to the nets more often. But in any case, those are some of the reasons why you should pursue an amateur radio license. And if you're an amateur, why you should pursue a GMRS license.
Go ahead.
Let's break.
And I'm actually doing a little studying right now for my tech license as well. So
fantastic. Yeah.
Hopefully coming soon.
Are you going to try to test at GARS? Or are you going to be there?
I may. If I don't have to work, I'll be there.
Okay. All right. I know that a lot of people are planning on going. I don't know exactly who. I just know that Julie and I will be there with not only are we bringing Studio G, but we're also bringing the new mascot. So if you haven't met Bricks, and no one's met Bricks except for a very small group of GMRS members, I'd say less than 10 have met Bricks. So Bricks will be at the GARS Tech Fest, so it'll be an opportunity to meet our latest North Georgia GMRS mascot. So if you don't want to see me, and I can understand that, come on out and meet the dog.
And Ritz is super sweet. Super
Yeah.
sweet.
Yeah, he is. He's a great pup. So so good stuff. All right, we've got one more Williams out there hanging out thinking, will this guy ever quiet down? Will I ever get a chance to come on the air? William, Atlanta 420. Did you have a comment?
For that, Justin. You know, you covered a lot of the bases in there that I was going to mention there. That our network, we've got over 1,000 members, and it's not. I wouldn't consider it a membership. I would consider it as a contributing group that has a common goal for family communications and the DIY, do it yourself. We could spend $1,000 and build a repeater of our own. But you know what? It's going to burn out really fast if it had to handle this kind of traffic. And this network has made it possible to build brand new friendships with some great people. And the difference, I'm a ham operator as well, but that's mostly about contesting and not as much of what they call the rag chewing. But those networks do the same thing. And GMRS is kind of catching up into that same of investing that kind of abilities with the network there. Let me take a break. So, as a reminder for those listening, all these people are volunteers, and they have my greatest admiration because they've given of their own personal time. They're not paying them to be there to be our radio net host and to do the YouTube. These are all of our members finding a niche to fill in and be part of the network there. And David and Lisa, you know, creating content for that and getting involved with the communities as well in all of the little restaurant meetings. That's all people building on friendships, and you can't beat that. And this network is there for other people when people go through some trials in life. This network is there for other people to be supportive on that. I got one little funny joke for Valentine's. I'll share here real quick. A young couple recently got married, and the wife sat her new husband down and says, "Honey, I need to let you know that now that we're married, I need you to know that Valentine's is very, very important to me, and I want to make sure you never forget that, and that we always you don't run off with your friends and forget about that it's a special day, and to make other plans with your friends, and you promise not to forget." He said, "Oh, honey, I've got it absolutely perfect there." Another break. Well, the husband, he sat down, he calls up one of his friends, he says, "Hey, Jim there, I got to cancel our Friday morning golf game there. My new wife has said Valentine's is very important to her there, and she said for me to never forget there, so she must have something really special planned, so I got to make sure I'm just a little mansplaining."
Did that land with you?
I don't think I caught the last part when it went out.
Oh, well, did I miss something, William? I draw the picture here. I'm not sure I got it.
All right, the man, his wife says Valentine's is very important, but of course it's usually included. We've got to do something. But the man instead, his mansplaining or understanding was that, well, she must have something really important planned, so I better not make plans and get in the way of her plans. Over.
Oh, therefore no plans were made at all. I see. Yeah, I get it, and you know that's so Valentine's Day happens to be that's Julie and I's anniversary.
Oh, congratulations.
Well, thank you. Yeah, it'll be 27 years when Valentine's Day rolls around. 27?
Get it right. Get it right. Get it right.
Yeah, 20. I don't know. It's been a minute. We've been married for a little bit. So Valentine's Day. My birthday is in February. Julie's birthday is in February. So February is kind of a big deal for us. And we really, for many years, we would have a birthday party. We had neighbors that have February birthday. We have friends that have February birthdays. So we're like 6 of us with birthdays in February. And so we'd have this big birthday party in February. Well, so many times in February, you just can't find a weekend with good enough weather. And so that's a challenge. Well, I would like to have a gathering this February, and I'd like for it to be a gathering of all of our net control operators. I'd like to have it right here on the Tiki Bar, but Man, how do you predict the weather in February? It could be beautiful.
Today was pretty good, though.
Or it could rain.
Or snow.
And today was pretty good. Today would be a great day if we knew that this is what it was going to be. So net control operators, be on the lookout for short notice. If we can see that we're going to have a weekend that's clear, it won't be on Valentine's Day, so don't worry about that. But it'll probably be later in the month. I think our chances are better later. But anyway, be on the lookout for an invite for that. And I'd love to get together with all of the net control operators. Do you even know how many we have?
Ooh, there's at least 2 or 3 per net.
I was thinking about that today. You know, how many are included in that roster? Because I think that's a much bigger number than you realize. You know, there's 5 or 6 that are related to this net. Because, you know, they're net control operators that aren't here every week. And some of them are only here on rare occasion. But it's probably more like 8 or 9 now that I think about it. And then all of the other nets. How many nets do we have? There's a net almost every night of the week.
Yeah.
So
4 or 5 nets, other nets.
So it'll be a decent gathering. But I'd love to get all of our net controllers together and have a couple of conversations about a couple of key things, and then have a party. And so be on the lookout for that, because I think that's going to happen soon. If we can't make it happen in February, it'll be soon thereafter. And you can bring me a birthday gift.
And what day is your birthday?
But you don't have to.
What day is that?
It's the 17th.
Okay.
Yeah. So, I think we're going to spend at least part of that weekend high atop Mount Waleski. So we have a project up there. So Blue Ridge 63 is invited to that project. But there we are. So that's the end of our roster. And well, you know, let's hang on here for just one moment. You know, I was in Midtown Atlanta the other day, and there was this homeless guy, and he was right there on the corner with a sign, and I rolled the window down, and he walked up to the truck, and he said, "Mister, can you help me out?" And I said, "Well, if I give you money, are you gonna go buy alcohol with it?" No, sir. I wouldn't do that. I was an alcoholic years ago. I've been sober for 15 years. I wouldn't dare go buy alcohol with it because I don't want to give up my sobriety. Sobriety is very important, and I don't want to give that up. I said, all right. I said, well, you know, if I gave you $20, would you go out and waste it on radio parts? He looked at me kind of funny, and he said, well, I don't even know where I would go to get radio parts, and you know, but I sure could use $20. If you could give me $20, I'd be. I said, I'll tell you what. I'll do you one better. I'll give you $100, and I'd like to bring you home, and you can get a hot shower. And while you're in the shower, we'll get you some fresh clothes, and I'll have Julie fix a nice hot dinner for you. Oh, mister, that'd be too much. Don't you think your wife would be upset if you brought me home? And I said, yeah, she might be upset if I brought you home, but I want her to see what happens to a man if he quits drinking and doesn't have a radio hobby.
There we go. Okay.
All right.
Well, the money has to go somewhere.
I think it's time to end this. So with that, let me find that part of the script, and we're going to call a close to tonight's net. Let's see. Tonight we had a Blue Ridge 63. Are you ready with that number? We had a total of, see, what was our chicken count tonight? Oh, we've got some, before I close, I've got some YouTube check-ins I need to acknowledge. So let me go ahead and call those out. We have Atlanta 379. Scott in Sandy Creek is a YouTube check-in tonight. A guest check-in from WSBS 374, Mark in Adairsville, Georgia. We have another check-in from WRKV 579 Ed, and I believe that's Leander, Texas. And we have WSFP 226 Randy from Vincennes, Indiana. I had a friend that attended Vincennes University, and when I was a young man, some friends and I went down to Vincennes. There are a number of caves in that area, and we went caving. It was the dumbest thing that I probably ever could have done. We stopped someplace at a gas station, bought flashlights and batteries, and we went into a cave. Nobody knew where we were or what we were doing. We went into this cave, and everything turned out fine. Nobody got hurt. Nobody got stuck. But, man, that potential was there. And I think about that these days, and I think, man, that was so stupid. Yeah, it's one thing to go to Ruby Falls or, someplace like that. Right. Or, if people know that you're going to be there, and if you don't come back, but nobody knew. So it was a pretty dumb thing. But that was out around Vincennes, Indiana. And that was a long time ago. But, yeah, so we've got, looks like we've got one more coming in here. Oh, we've got two more. We've got WRYW 456 with no name or information, but that's a guest check. Oh, that's Dave checking in on YouTube. And we have Atlanta 622 Marvin in Covington is another YouTube check-in. So, you need me to move that back up there? Let's see if I can figure out how to do that. I don't think we're going to get the cooperation we want out of this. Oops. Let's get that out of there. And I think if I just do that, we can have our log back. So there's the log back on the YouTube view. And those are our last couple of check-ins on the screen there. So, okay, let's go ahead and close things up. I'm going to break for one moment for our total number of check-ins.
Blue Ridge 63, WRWM 344. We had a total of 66 check-ins tonight.
All right, understand a total of 66 chickens tonight. This will conclude the North Georgia GMRS Regional Net with 66 chickens, including myself and Rogers right here next to me, as well as Blue Ridge 63 Mike up in Blue Ridge at the remote studio helping us out with the log tonight. Net Control will now be returning the repeaters back to normal use. Everyone who signed in should sign out. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And remember, comments on the YouTube video shows engagement with the video and helps the channel grow. Thank you for allowing us to serve as your net control this evening. Good night, everyone. This is WQYR 514, Atlanta 946. My name is Justin.
And this is WSAL 368, Atlanta 263. I'm Rogers.
We are North Georgia GMRS Network, and we are clear.
Good night.
Good night, folks. Might have to pop this part out, and then go to 7. Is that right? No, it's 8. And you've already got the audio?
It's on here. This one?
Excellent.
So this one right here needs to be.
That one needs to be.
Like, how was it muted? What?
We didn't have. Yeah, this one needs to be on. So this one needed to be on. X number of microphones. So we have created the difference in impedance on high-level audio And the same thing with the direct box. The direct box is also an impedance matching transformer. It has a primary winding that is very few turns. So yeah, so at this point so at this point we're going to with the on air button we're gonna kill that.
Off.